Right. I think we need September. I believe any comments from those in favour? Married. And to note the minutes of the events subcommittee meeting held on the 4th of September.
Let's leave that me onto the committee now. No, I know. I didn't have to come, did I?
We have
On the website. We've had it on the website.
Oh, thank
The way
you.
we finished them all off.
Oh, okay. It's just a printout.
You are on there now.
Thank you.
Item 5, parking decriminalisation. Okay, so this is the fun part of the meeting. Everybody has seen the report in the agenda and also received the email from Claire Hewitt. Who would like to speak first on this?
I don't think there's enough parking spaces for permit. Right. There's not enough parking spaces for permit. So I was thinking, because we always get a lot of people parking at the bottom of Mount View, and they were parking there would be space if we could put an additional up to 3 parking spaces there. There is the room, I think, so it would mitigate some of the resident parking off Kings Road, as long as they weren't very big shouting tractors and they parked. So to get, less great big space, we could get 3 parking spaces there, I think, and that would help the situation because there's not enough parking spaces.
All right, thank you. So I think it's been suggested that we have a walkabout and review the parking situation. Will the council's comment and motion failure?
Yes,
We can do that, can't we?
yes, I certainly recommend that. I think it's likely that there will probably be quite a few examples of roads that council still need reviewing, and it's with the best way of tackling that in person.
Councillor Eggleton, then.
We're talking about civil enforcement parking as well.
Yeah.
It is, I think it was mentioned might have been a few years ago now, about having parking in the marketplace. The bit that comes off the marketplace. The reason being, if you have an enforcement on a certain particular part of the marketplace, for instance, and then you got Thursdays where you got the people from the market parking all their stalls, parking their vans there to offload and all that sort of stuff. So if there's an enforcement there, then they're just as much to get a ticket. You can't make exceptions for one and not the other. So if you made that like Substitution Council could give permits to for them to park and offload for the market, so don't interfere with the markets, but also do like a 5 or 10 minute parking in the town centre for people dropping off and picking up. But with all the loading bays, they can, like, obviously they haven't got the, because you can't do anything with the loading bays, like doing the 5 minute, 10 minute, unless they can work out some sort of scheme how they can do it. The only other way you can do that is contacting all the shops, that people that deliver and the couriers that go around the town, like well, all the couriers that go around and stopping in the loading bays, rather than have a genetic. So you contact. I know it's probably wouldn't be us; it'd probably be Substitution Council that do it. But sending out, so each company has a permit that they can display in their dashboard. So it makes it easier for the parking wardens to know that they've got this permit thing that they can park in loading bay and work it out throughout other towns as well. That's the only way you can keep on top of them stopping it. And obviously, if they haven't got a permit, leaving a note on the van saying you need to get a permit from this organisation or Substitution Council or whatever, whether they can implement that sort of thing. I think it's a fair system because you can't do one without doing the other. So if you make it with double yellow lines and you fine everybody that parks in the marketplace, then in turn you've got to find the people that park there to load up when they're doing the market. So you can't penalise, if you're penalising them, then you might drive the people out from the market.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that one particular road in Henley needs to be addressed. I would take the yellow lines out and turn it into a 10-minute parking with permits to the market people. So there will be a revenue coming back because some of the district council are saying, if you want to park there to offload for your markets, you've got to get this permit.
It's a good point, and I think Councillor Buckley raised very similar issues in his email about a week ago. He lives at Marketplace. Councillor Thomas, then Hamilton, then Mason.
Just a couple of points there. I understand that emergency vehicles need access around the very, very tight places. So that's the marketplace, and it's the circular road that goes around the town hall. So we have to keep that in mind. My specific point is around the charity shops on Duke Street. I just want to make sure that members of the public who are offloading their donations are not going to be ticketed. Sometimes they can be in there for some time, chatting to staff and such like. So I just want to make sure that they're protected. I'm sure the charity shops would appreciate that as well. And I just finally said I'd be happy to take part in assisting any survey on the town. Or not, loads to cover.
Thank you.
I'll just briefly say something based on Isha just said. If they contact all the charity shops and give them like a sticker, so when they go in and they donate, they just, as soon as they come in and say we donate, you put that in your card, then that avoids that problem, doesn't
All
it?
the charity shops have that, to do that.
No,
But they will need to
some
have
of them do,
that.
some of them do.
Sorry,
But
I'm
if
not thinking.
Well, that's okay. Councillor Hamilton.
I think whilst I'm happy to receive a note as per the agenda, I think this is a bigger sandwich, as it were, that needs cracking. A bigger egg that needs cracking, should I say? Because 3 years ago, Lawrence Park came up with a very good idea of having a parking summit, and to an extent, we've the district council has solved the problem in the car parks by doing the 1 hour free parking. But this, looking at on-street parking, is a much bigger thing. And we should be looking not just at the marketplace. Dave makes very good points about the marketplace and taking away that double yellow line so that people could pull in there and go to the butcher and go to some of the shops because we need to get businesses to thrive. But we also need to look at residence parking, and in particular the use of residence parking, say between 10 and 5, which could be turned back into resident and shopper parking, because most residents go off to work, or do they go off to work, or do they stay put all the way through the day? So it's a bigger thing than just looking at parking decriminalisation. Whilst I have given notes to the town clerk as to which fleets I think should be covered, I wouldn't want a draconian approach to the fact we've finally got civil enforcement. But I do think that I don't use the word subcommittee because the town clerk will probably avoid that the pram. But I do think this is a bigger aspect that perhaps 3 or 4 councils need to sit down and go through the whole of the town. Boston Matthew is obviously a problem. Albert Road, the Council Rising is clearly a problem. I'd hate them all to get tickets on the first day that CCE starts. And I think we've got to have a piecemeal approach to look at some of these bigger aspects, because whilst we've solved the car park, we haven't looked yet at residents for parking bays or loading bays, or what lines could be removed to allow more parking in the town, but safely. Obviously, emergency vehicles have to get through. West Street, emergency vehicles have to get through, so I flagged that up to the town clerk. But I do think we've reached a point with marketplace where we can allow some more parking, but obviously not on the York stack.
That's all right.
Councillor Hamilton's right in that there's a bigger problem that the one with it sit around the table and solve, and maybe some ideas. Solving it needs an integrated business approach. I can't remember. I think the last time we had a parking strategy development from the county council was last century. I don't think we've had one since then. We've asked for it numerous times, and they've had occasional reviews of small areas. The residents' parking would be reviewed from time to time. But I think an overall assessment of the parking in town has not been carried out in that time. And I think that's what we should be aiming to ask for. The civil parking enforcement will take a while to clear. I think we should gather the information from councillors, residents, the new parking board, about where the problems are and what the future there are to improve the parking in town. So before we start inventing things, we need to remember loading bays are there to load and unload. You're allowed to do that. You don't need a permit to stick it to go. So that's allowed. You're not allowed to park there and go shopping. You are allowed to load and unload. You're also allowed to park and load and unload on double yellows. On some double yellows, not all. And we need to remember that. If they've got dashes on, you can't. They have got dashes. If they've got dashes on, you can't unload them. The other double yellows, you can. So we need to look and see where that unloading can and can't take place. If there are missed opportunities, or if there are areas where we should be more careful about making sure restrictions, we should look to get that changed. So I think we should be looking at ideas, bringing them together to behind the scenes or in this committee, and then approaching the county council and asking them, can we have a parking study done for Henley? Look at how parking is going to operate now that civil parking enforcement is here. We probably wouldn't want to do that in the next few months, but in 12 months. But I wouldn't worry about asking for it and getting it too quickly, because that's not the county council rhetoric, in my experience. So I think we should ask Councillor Gavishak to go and sound out the county council about how we would sensibly approach them over the next 6 to 12 months to get to look at the parking issues at Henley and what routes there are for improving that.
Good question. Do we know what criteria we're going to use?
They are enforcing the loading bays. I don't know the criteria.
You do need to be continually loading and unloading.
Yeah.
They are loading, they're not parking bays.
That's right.
Yes, Chairman, I must have a different agenda to everybody else here this evening. Because if you read pages 10 and 11, and I've read it first, it asks a simple question on certain areas in Henley, and have they got the correct parking measures there, i.e. 20-minute parking, 14-minute parking, this, that, and the other. So all this letter's asking for are different areas of the town, like, I've got Upper Marketplace, Road Street, Deanfield Road, When you look at the signage there, is the signage correct? And this is what this is asking for. So I think we should deal with this one first. I totally agree with what the speakers are saying about looking at other areas where we can probably park. But I think we need to answer this one pretty quick, because this is going to be enforced on the 1st of November. And there's certain areas, I say, in my opinion, we don't know if they can enforce. The legislation are three there, the Upper Marketplace, Private Street, and Deanfield Road. You need to know if they've got the proper item enforced there. Otherwise, they won't be enforced there. So this is what this is asking here. So I think we should deal with this first in certain areas like that. This is what kind of Claire's looked at certain areas and asked the same question. And that the email basically said, do you have a copy of the parking orders for Henley? Or do we have a copy of the parking orders for Henley? Good question. Do we have them? And this is what this is asking for. Well, actually, they should know the answer to that question. So this is what we need to resolve now. Do we have the parking orders for all the areas in Henley at this moment in time? And that's what we need to do. Moving forward, I agree, there's certain areas you can probably have parking down the marketplace. But I don't think this is the issue at this moment in time. I think we need to sort this out first to get to grips with this. Otherwise, what's going to happen? On the 1st of November, when they're going to be putting notices on parts of you shouldn't park. Because that's what they're going to do for the first 2 weeks. They're going to tell people where they shouldn't park. But have they got the correct parking orders there in the 3rd week to go and give out enforcement? I think that's the bigger problem.
I'm not actually in a position to answer that question.
Regarding the, do we have
Parking orders for Henley first.
so the parking orders for Henley, those are held by county council. We don't. And in fact, they, I know that until these get released, they haven't been digitized. I believe that the digitization, the digitization process is being taken, undertaken as part of this project. We don't know if this has been done. But last time I checked, they didn't have digital.
That's what needs to be resolved, Chair.
Right, but that surely means that we're also not in a position to decide it.
We don't know.
We don't know. So I'm not sure we can fix either of those issues at this meeting.
The one that said you solved the parking.
Continue.
I was for you, Dave.
Councillor
Go
Crook.
on, go on.
Sorry,
Crook and then
no,
everything.
no, I'm only going to say regarding the charity shop. What people normally do is if they're unloading, they just put unloading at certain shops. It's the person, because what it was, is people have been parking in those loading bays and going off shopping, and that's.
And so you speaking specifically on this
Yeah.
letter?
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this at the moment.
Basically what you just said, unless you know what these things are, you can't address the problem anyway. So until you can find out those facts. And I know that I haven't seen anybody going around and doing all the double yellow lines and redoing the double yellow lines. So until those double yellow lines have all been done and amended, some of them are not legal anyway.
I would suggest that's probably a problem for the contractor.
So the council have been renewing double yellow lines where they can, although one of the issues is that you can't renew them when there are cars parked on them. So you have to catch 22. My interpretation of the letter is that it is asking for requests for review of restrictions. Now we don't know if the wording of the signs or the lines is exactly what the traffic regulation orders. But we can come up with recommendations for changes based on what they appear to be at the moment, if that makes sense. We can take the current restrictions at face value and make any request for changes. Although it is a much longer process than simply this meeting, as has been pointed out.
Well, thank you. I've just got a question on the permits. As we all know, it's oversubscribed and it's difficult for residents to get part. Is there any way we can operate like Reading was, for instance, where, and in London and other towns, where you put like on the residential street, like everybody parks on St Mark's Road and Andrews Road. Why can't we use those residential streets? We use the residential streets in the town centre, put up signs, permit holders only. Then when people are coming into Henley, if you can guide them to park outside of them or into the car parks and leave those, but they could operate at different times, like between certain hours they do it, it's permit holders only, and outside those for others to park. I just think that would give more permit spaces. And then it might get more residents to get residents permits.
So we'd only do that for
Well, yeah, but I just think, you know, we think of using, but really those who are walking in front of the town centre, the full of the cars parked there anyway.
Yeah.
People who are working the town park there, why not incorporate them into permits?
Right, okay, so going back to the letter of the agenda, it specifically says receive and to note civil parking enforcement. So we can do that. The second one is to consider any request to review the current restrictions. I think that is something we can't do at this table. We need to go around the town as a group properly and do that.
Can you ask the council, obviously, council for the information, provide the information, and then we can base the walk around on that information which is in front of us.
That would be to verify that the information that they hold is correct.
Yeah,
We can do that, but to actually review current restrictions with a view to changing them, we need to go around.
Yes. Yeah.
Have a working group or something.
It's something that the traffic advisory. It's something the traffic advisory group have previously done.
What about, yeah.
That was a silly comment because we haven't got one.
No, it's something that they would have previously done. They would have done it with those who sit at the table, so Keith Spenning and the highways people would have been here at the table as well. It's probably done with them. They will only do the TRO once every 3 years. But
shall I propose a small working group then to current parking restrictions with a view to making changes?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
And I think I put myself forward.
I'd like, I think we should approach it slightly differently. I don't think that we or even the town on its own is in a good position to have a complete proposal and solution. We'll probably only get one shot. So I'd like to, I'm not against the idea of investigating issues that people are pointing out. Councillor President. Well, I'd like to amend it to suggest that Councillor Devonshire talk to the office and ask for advice on how we might approach it, cover the parking issue that inherently over the next year or so. So what we need to do, the information we need to gather, the information we need to receive on, say, the orders that exist, and at that point, the working group or councillors and members of the public can start looking at the issues and gathering that information together into a proposal that we can make to the council, but in the knowledge of what it is that they would like in the way of form of that suggestion. I think we Council Humphrey tried to work with the county council.
Let's start the working group and invite the
And so I'd like to start off by asking our county council to do that. A proposal, I'm not against it, but I want to make sure we work with the county council. I think without them, we're not going to get.
I would say this is probably more than a simple amendment to the motion. So we probably have to debate the motion and decide on that before.
I'm happy with that. I don't see the proposal as the complete solution. It is certainly.
So we debating the motion. So I'm in favour of going with the working group. But in due course, and getting on with it, because let's not waste time. In due course, we'll have to incorporate the officers of OCC and Tim Bearder to see what progress can be made. And I know that may take 6 months, but at least we start. Let's get on with it. Let's start looking at the streets. Let's start looking at Mount Few, Albert Road, all that, and then get down the road so that we can sort out some of the problems that are clearly in town. So I'm in favour of a working group. I do hear what Councillor Rice is saying.
To be honest,
Two separate issues.
start making progress on things. So, I don't think there's any reason why working group couldn't be formed.
Well, I was second your proposal anyway. It's it's like Will said, and like Sheridan, the guy that went to me then. Sheridan said, and the thing is, it needs to be, if whatever information we get, at least it started, I think, and work with everybody that's, you know, to resolve the problem. We could feed some of that stuff back in, but if we started now, rather than waiting for someone, 6 months down the line, when we could have got all that information already there for them to use.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, you know, the majority of us have lived in this town for a long, long time. You know, we know it really well. We don't need an officer from OCC that's going to come from the other side of Oxford to come and tell us what we need. It's as simple as that. And I think we should take this on in the next week, couple of weeks or so, and just walk around town. We can make some notes and then basically say to OCC, this is what we have found on our walk around town. Would you consider some of these items in the future? And I think that's when obviously Council Gabbard and OTT. So I think we should show the way. We're the local people. We know the situation on the roads. We make up a list, push that onto OCC. So he's given you the prices for it, what it's going to cost to.
Yeah.
And you're talking about some heavy money if we want too many changes.
Exactly. Okay, so the proposal is to set up a working group to review the current restrictions.
It was just a clarification on Councillor Allen's point. With the traffic regulation orders, you can lump them together. The main cost, as far as I believe it, is advertising.
Yeah.
And you can lump them together, so you don't have to do street by street.
We have an exhibition.
All those in favour? Does anybody want to volunteer to be on this?
I'll be on that.
I've been 1, 2, 3,
I'll
4.
put councillor Plant on as well. Maybe he wants to be on.
Well, we can have later. We'll start off with the 4.
I'll put councillor Plant. I don't see.
So that's Councillor Arlott, Thomas, Eggleton, Plant, Hamilton, and me.
Make one clarification, because I completely agree with Councillor Arnold that we know and understand the problems here in Henry as councillors, as residents, we're looking to address and solve. What we need to find out from the county council is the process people to talk to, not identify the problems. That wasn't what I was suggesting.
Fair enough. Great. Should we move on? Right. Item 6, to receive and to note the nomads. To receive and to note the nomad 6-monthly report.
I think they've done a fantastic job, what they do to reach out to everyone sort of like. Yeah, they've done a great job. That's good work.
Anybody else have anything?
There's an AGM, no AGM coming up, which we have by the days. I don't think it was done on here. It's done online, so
They usually invite the mayor, I think.
I think I've got some advice.
Yeah, so.
He was a rep.
So, no, not a reference, I think so.
He was a rep.
There is a rep. I think I made
Read the report back after it.
well, I'll just say there is an AGM, and it may be the councillors, all councillors are invited to it.
There's also a Facebook group because they just posted this weekend where they've been out with some kids at the skate park. The dog was there as well, obviously. So if councillors follow the Facebook group, they can actually keep more up to date with the work that Nomad are doing using the money that Anytime Council are giving them.
Thank you. What's the Facebook group called, you know?
Nomad Henley, I think.
Complicated way, isn't it?
Nomad account.
It's 50,
Nice to have it. Item 7, communication manager update. This is the report from communication manager.
I did notice that I passed on to Mary today. I tried to look at the agenda of this meeting and the website once again. That's the research. I noticed I sent them screenshots. The website I know still something there, but it may be that we do need to look at our contract with the provider about why we're running out of usage. I mean, I don't know, I don't support to go.
I've not seen this myself.
I don't know about that issue. I did notice the agenda wasn't on the, I tried to download it
Yeah.
myself and I noticed it wasn't. on
But when it
the
came
agenda.
back, and I also noticed it wasn't. either.
I think that might just be clerical error. I think, but I can do it.
No, the issue I got was a usage error. I've sent there in the screenshot. And it was happened before, but it may be that we need to prevent the usage. Which is fair enough.
I know they are making a lot of changes at the moment, a lot of overdue changes.
No, no, it's continuing to evolve, as the website should. Well, in that case, we want to find out what the error is. I'll pass you on the screenshot.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 8, finances, and the management account. 21. All consider the draft budget 21-22.
And just a small clarification on the agenda and the website, I didn't make it. It should say finances 2021-22 and budget 2022-23. I'm really just flying.
I think this is the same thing in finance. That's any consolation.
Councillor Crowe.
Right, have we on this bit yet?
No, I've changed my glass.
Can't see that.
I can't see it now.
Community budget 2022-2023.
Yeah,
Can I just highlight something
yeah.
about the police? Not about the police, but it would be about police really. I tried to report a crime yesterday. I tried ringing 101 and I spent ages to get through. Then I tried to report it online and it was so unuser friendly. If you're in a hurry trying to report a crime, it's really difficult. So I'm sort of tech savvy, but not brilliant. So I don't know what it must be like for other people. They need to change their website to make it user friendly so that it's not off-putting people.
Right. Okay.
An emergency, you just do 999.
I was going to go 999 but
But this is about the budget.
I know, but I'm just highlighting it.
All right.
Because it's about police and we don't have the police.
All right.
So then you can change their website. Make it easy.
Councillor Hampton.
Yeah, I'm looking at this budget. I'm quite concerned about this point 3.2, the last line of it, which comes up with, and this may also be improved. The proposal is taken forward for pedestrianising the whole of the marketplace from time to time. Now, we had this discussion at the last committee regarding marketplace, and the events committee clearly looked at that possibility of shutting the road. I really do think that should be taken out of the budget. It just says from regarding marketplace. We need that road open, and yes, we do need revenue generation, but that is not the place to be focusing on.
I think just because it's in the budget, that's.
Okay, we've been here before. The next thing we'll find is a trial happening. So,
Well, that's not the last.
So the budget doesn't make any allowance for additional income generated through the closing of the marketplace. Apologies if it's unclear in the narrative. It was basically to say this is the amount that we're expecting to generate, and that could be also be improved if the proposal to the marketplace is taken.
Councillor Hampton.
Yeah, so Christmas festivity, I think that if we cannot find a way in the early months of 2022 to find a way to increase our revenue, we need to seriously reconsider our budget and increase it. Probably by like 50% at least, I feel, from several events meetings, I think that's been. But there have been cost cuts made. I mean, there's certainly like staff costs, they've been massively reduced, but things are expensive. And it's a big part of the year that we hold and celebrate for our residents. So I think it's important. It's obviously lovely to see the Henley and Bloom budget's so healthy, but I think part of that is because of, it's not because there's any less work being done, but it's certainly less events, less activities. But it's nice to see that healthy. Sorry, I'm going down it. The Nomad grant, I'm really pleased to see this on here. This obviously started with RNA, as it says there, and it's really important. It's really lovely to see over the weekend on Facebook. It just came up, and then the report came out today. A little bit of coincidence, but the work that they're doing, you know, they are reaching several people at a time. They're not just going out and working with children one-to-one. You know, when they were out on Friday, they were talking to a large group of children, and it keeps the children focused, talking, engaged. And it's so valuable, and I really hope that this committee to keep it going forward. Same police community support officer. I think after the Headingtown Council support of the police community support officer is essential to the work that they do and the amount that they can cover. So I'd like us to continue with that also. I think I might be done. Oh, merchandising. Councillor Overton and Councillor Crook just today, actually. Yeah. Merchandising. This is one way we could really look at increasing our revenue because of the budget stuff, already know that. And that's all of my comments on the budget so far.
No, you want to talk about that first? Yeah, right, yeah, because I was discussing about merchandising, we could, sell things like with the HPC logo on such as these bottles. I'm sure there'd be a demand for these lovely bottles here. People would buy them, and we could sell them through the website. And yeah, and also like key rings and jigsaws and tote bags. Like Philippa had an idea about the late night shopping thing with the mug. We could do like a bag so people could collect bags for each year and stuff. But we encourage people to buy things like key rings with the year and the logo on it. And yeah, but yeah, people would buy them. They would buy them. So yeah, yeah, we just need to put it more on put it on like social media and a link to it and stuff. So yeah, that's it then.
Okay, talking about revenue streams, I was just wondering if we'd heard back from John Howley about the loss of licenses, payment licenses on the marketplace.
I'm sure you'll get
Yeah.
I believe I had a very generous answer from Councillor Wrighton to speak with Councillor Albert about cleaning up a letter.
Oh,
we did, yeah.
it's not been said yet.
So he hasn't been contacted. He hasn't been contacted.
Okay. Okay.
Another 6 weeks.
I have got a quick point about merchandising actually. So we've got the Queen's Platinum Jubilee coming up next year. I'm wondering if we could perhaps add the platinum emblem to the merchandise. Perhaps that would be a good idea. And I mean, I presume you're talking about Henley Town. You're not talking about Henley Town Council merchandise, right? Because people will not want that, right?
We might need permission though. Oh, sorry.
No, you don't need permission. You don't need permission. There is an emblem that's been launched and anyone can use it.
Perfect.
Yeah, there are 3 different types. So you can just snatch the artwork from that website.
Circle bed.
Already out.
So that could be like limited edition.
On the back of Dave's van.
Circle beds.
We own this rather official looking brand in here. don't we?
I
So
know.
we can stamp that.
Yeah, but you're part of the.
I know that's what you mean.
They buy Henley Town merchandise, but I don't think they buy Henley Town Council merchandise.
Councillor Eggleton.
If you look at in the marketplace, there's several coats of arms over the self-help shop window with the crown, Prince of Wales feathers, and the lightning burst or something like that. So I think I asked you a little while ago, Shelley, about if I could use the logo. There's certain logos you can use without the council, with the permission of the council, but there's certain questions that you can't use. Have to be on an official document.
I know that we have.
There's an official document that you can't use, being used on official documents. But I think the starburst thing or the lightning thing you can use on things because it's been on most when I researched it a while ago. It's been on merchandise that the town we use it when they've done all like spoons and plates and because Hawkins, the China shop, used to do a lot of crested wear with town council logo, the back sunburst on it. But I know that you can use that crest, but you can't use the council
It's
official.
this, that.
That's the one you can't use. Yeah.
Councillor Henson?
If we were thinking of adding anything to it, it might be mindful to add some money for, some councillors, again, David Donna had come up and Paula before she resigned, came up with ideas for COVID memorials and COVID, thing. Some of it will probably be more RNA, but some of it's definitely blue. So it might be wise to maybe put some money through for something significant for the people lost over that time. We haven't actually, there's ideas on the table, but there's not necessarily money in the budget. Just a suggestion, not necessarily.
I think that's on Henry of Bloom, that wouldn't Yeah. We don't want to, so what we are on,
Wipe out quarter of the budget. So I'm just thinking it's something to consider. We've got a few more rounds of budget.
We don't need to make a proposal today. I'm going to win by the over.
we want to know those.
I don't have figures in mind or any research for that really, other than what we've already done and come forward with. So I think maybe it might be better at next week.
That's the right one.
It would be perfectly reasonable to say, decide for a instance, like £5,000 in, say, or £1,000, any sum of money now, for it to be, so at least it's in the budget, there's a line for it. And then we can do a bit more thinking and decide whether that number is realistic or perhaps a bit over ambitious for the next and final cycle. So if the council Hinton wants to make a proposal, then that's perfectly sensible, even though we haven't. That's why we spend 3 cycles doing the budget section. So this idea, these ideas can come up, and then we find it on.
And I want to make it so I will propose up to 5,000 to be put in for a COVID memorial. And one of the things, it's not just for people that have lost people to COVID or people that have died from COVID. Actually, over the 18-month period, 2-year period, lots of people lost people, and they weren't able to say goodbye in the usual way. They're not able to reflect and then, you know, to have a peaceful, tranquil space for them to go, I think is a wonderful idea that's been brought forward by the councillors.
Should we vote on that?
Can I just speak?
Yeah.
Like what Kelly said, because having lost several members of my family, it has been very difficult, and I'm sure council where Hamilton said that sort of thing. But like when you have a funeral and you're the only sibling, you can't even have a vote, it's really less of a celebration of their life. And so this, you have other families to do.
All those in favour of an additional line item 5,000 budget for the COVID memorial? Okay, anybody else have anything else to add to this? Can you respond?
I'm thinking that.
It's spending, all we're trying to do things.
Well, now I'm back on TNC. I've got to meet at the spendthrift committee, haven't I?
Can I just respond to one of these that council brought up, which is the Christmas, what do we call it, Winter Festival, or Christmas Festival, or late night shopping, whatever it is. If the budget for this year needs to be increased, you're going to need to move quite quickly. The next meeting is this week, in 6 weeks, this is much bigger events. So we should think about putting something on the finance agenda with the town clerk's advice, whether, we may consider now, well, before we have the agenda's been drawn up, so we can.
You mean an increase for this year?
Yes.
Or an increase for the coming year's budget?
No, I think for the one that's later in this year. November, December, 2021.
At the moment, it is running a small debt, payments around about £700, actually, which could be by from those.
I'd expect to see what the shortfall is going to be.
The chair is going to be writing to certain individuals and organisations to see if we can help increase that.
Yeah, we,
Local support.
having lost it last year, and we want to make sure that it's back to its best or even better for this year.
Particularly on budget over the
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't introduce it during.
Is item 9, progress reports. So. I was wondering if the Oxfordshire Way market could come off here now. I mean, I know that we're saying we're going to monitor it for congestion. But does that really need to be on the progress report?
It's good.
So you're seconding my proposal to remove it?
Yeah.
All those in favour? Yeah, anything else?
I'm just checking my emails to see what happened about when we're on the way.
That's the truth.
Can I talk about the other way? Or we're not there yet?
We can do it, yeah, I mean, I don't like it.
I have a suggestion because that particular area is just, people want to have like, if we were having a cutting green, I don't think I'll go to the cutting green, people complained, they wanted a splash park, and then some other people said like, people about water fountains coming out of the ground. I thought by where the cinema is, where that bench is, we could have a few water fountains coming out of the ground with some coloured lights, just a small little area, and it would brighten up that particular area of Henley. It looks a bit shabby and unloved, and it may get more footfall going to the cinema as long as they don't make the carpet wet from the cinema.
Our land, though, is
But one of the other things that's happening, so Philippa Ratcliffe, who's on the events committee, who runs Experience Henley,
Yeah.
she has been having video calls with somebody who has a Barama link, I think it's at university, but also she can have video calls with people in Barama. And she's working with, I think, Nicholas Sutherland to create a Barama mural all the way along that wall. So that will also tidy it up and brighten it up and look spectacular. And it will have a typical Barama street scene, which is why she's been video calling the shops to get the exact, bright. They all paint the fronts of their shops.
And we also need that post-it and
that hasn't been updated on it since probably a year. It's now 1 year since our last update.
On what?
On mural. On the way. Yeah, it is.
There's a missing brick down there as well.
Oh, well, we should get an update on that. I'll speak
No,
to either way.
it's changed it to-
I think we were also looking at getting the street sign changed.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah,
I just looked at my emails, I couldn't find anything else. I will look it up. It is, yeah.
I think that's another 25-year. When did it go up that? That must have been. It must have been.
You can pay it
Must have been
25.
1996, when the cinema was open. So yeah, 25 years. Yeah, that's probably about time we should take it fixed.
One other thing, I see here the repointing of the York Stand on the back page.
Yeah.
First started on the 18th of the 5th, which is my birthday actually. It will come back to a future meeting, but those need to be done before winter. Before the frost.
Yeah.
So how closely to get the votes back? Looking at Nicky, I'm looking at Sheridan, I'm looking at Glenn.
Well, I get it.
I think we've got to, I think we've got to.
Two votes.
That should be at the next meeting. then.
Hopefully, yes.
We have it for the next meeting. Then. That's all.
We need a third quote, then we can talk about it.
Councillor Egerton, it's, I'd probably mention about the viewpoint when they used to jet blast to, Town Square.
Yeah.
That's probably about three and a half years ago. So how long it takes to get three quotes?
Well, we have seen some quotes, it's just that they were rather varied. They wanted to look at what chief quotes, I think.
I think they were very expensive.
Yeah, they were, yes.
They are very expensive, so.
I think they were,
I think this out for the next committee.
I seem to remember there was a multiple 100,000. Number, and I think that's why I went away to think again. There were other options.
Yeah, but the best, just finishing up, sorry. The best thing to do is if you don't jet blast, then you won't do some things. Or you jet blast, then you're going to blow all that one out anyway.
Yeah, I did it in my napkin.
Yeah.
Very efficient. Councillor Crowe.
Yeah, going on skin refurbishment,
Yeah.
can we have some metal WL skin on top of the bin, to stop people putting their cigarettes out and burning the paint off?
We definitely should, and we did discuss it. didn't we?
I have asked Nicky to look into that, although it, we'll have to, because obviously to find the right ones to be retrofitted to, can be retrofitted to things. Might be fine, but I believe Nicky's on that at the moment.
On the refurbishing of the metal bins, the liners inside, the galvanised liners, the only part of that galvanised liner that rots out is the bottom, the bottom of the lid. What I suggested is with all those liners, if you put like a triangle, like a cross at the bottom of the bin, which is done with wires, and then you just put a circular plate at the bottom of it. When that plate rots out, you just take that plate out and put another plate back in. Then you don't have to keep rebuying the whole liner. You only have to buy a galvanised plate. Which would be a lot cheaper. That's why they must in.
Oh, sorry.
Really, Chair, I spoke to James and he was saying the other day, he's been looking at them, and is there actually any point in putting buttons on them? Because the bin liners are actually clipped onto the top of the inside liners. And if what happens to the bottoms got out anyway, do you need buttons on them?
The only thing that happens with those is some of them got studs that stick up, which then punch the back. And then all the cracks. If you grind the studs off in the bottom of the bin, and where the bins are fixed to pavement, then you won't snag the bags.
As well.
Yeah, I think if you've got a solid bin there, Jim, if anybody puts any bricks in there, that's solid water.
Yeah.
Without problem, but Councillor Abrams, like the bigger the problem, some of the bolts are bolted down and sticking up a couple of inches, and that's why the bottoms are getting damaged. There's ways around that. You can just put a couple of bricks in the bottom, but you definitely don't want an insert with no bottom. You just get the metal around the outside.
Yeah. Well, we agreed, didn't we, when the work was commissioned, to take any liners. Well, that's anyway, so that's all covered really. Right, I think that's pretty much done, unless anybody else has anything.